A man and his young daughter are found dead outside their Hardin County home. Police are calling it a murder-suicide.
Kentucky Attorney General Jack Conway is taking the matter of Kentucky's gas prices into his own hands. Why he's suing Marathon for the higher gas prices.
I'm sure he's probably looking down and really amazed at what's going on here today.
Months after being laid to rest, Kentucky's oldest living World War II veteran is honored with a highway sign in his name.
Tracking, alerting, protecting. This is WKYT News at 5:30.
Good evening to you. A small town shaken by the murder of a child, and police say her father pulled the trigger before killing himself.
It happened last night in the Hardin County town of Vine Grove. While state police are ruling this a murder-suicide, they have not said what led up to the shooting. But neighbors are telling us the shooting came out of nowhere. Sam Smith is in Hardin County talking to the neighbors who found the bodies in our top story at 5:30.
Neighbors say the subdivision is usually quiet, but obviously that was not the case last night when two bodies were found along the side of this house.
And then we heard two gunshots back to back.
Orlando Evans did not want to go on camera. He says the bodies of his next door neighbors were lying next to this shrub.
I pointed at him laying on the ground dead. She said, "How you know?" I said, "I can see the gunshot wound coming out of his head." He was laying on his stomach and then the girl was laying on her back.
Police say 49-year-old John Jonas killed his 11-year-old daughter Tasha Jonas, and then he killed himself. Tasha was in the 5th grade. Neighbors say that John moved to Vine Grove from Virginia, and over the years he has mostly kept to himself.
John seemed like a great dad, constantly always out working in the yard. He's getting ready to retire from the military. He was a lieutenant colonel at the HRC building. We expected him to enjoy his retirement.
The folks that live next to the Jonas household say they never saw this coming.
That's the last thing we would have expected here.
Funeral arrangements for the Jonases are still pending. In Hardin County, Sam Smith, WKYT.
The school system provided grief counselors for students who are having a hard time coping with the young girl's death.
A medical condition is believed to have caused a crash this afternoon. Our county-by-county coverage at 5:30 begins in Madison County. State police say a driver was found dead at the crash scene on Paint Lick Road near Berea. Troopers say the man suffered some sort of medical condition, died, and then ran off the road. The name of the victim has not yet been released. In Harlan County, state police are investigating what they're calling a suspicious death. Troopers say they found the body of 48-year-old Rosie Melton in a home on Scoville Street in Everett. Police have not said what caused her death. The body was sent to the state medical examiner's office in Frankfort for an autopsy. In Marshall County, officials say a man injured last month when a distillery exploded has died. 27-year-old Kyle Rogers had been in critical condition since the explosion at Silver Trail Distillery. Rogers' cousin, 47-year-old Jay Rogers, was also injured. He's still in the hospital. Rogers had just started working at the distillery and his cousin's assistant a few weeks before that explosion. The cause is still unknown.
The investigation into stolen bourbon in Franklin County continues to grow. The alleged crime ring is now believed to include more Buffalo Trace employees. According to court documents, sheriff's deputies have several statements from workers. Those statements included cooked inventory books from the 2013 disappearance of the Pappy Van Winkle. The State Journal reports that Greg Anglin admits to stealing Pappy Van Winkle along with Susan Savard. The paper reports that Anglin told investigators he stole the bourbon while Savard adjusted inventory numbers. Savard denies any involvement.
Gas prices are at the center of a new federal lawsuit. Today, Kentucky Attorney General Jack Conway announced he is suing Marathon Petroleum Company, claiming the company's practices led to higher prices at the pump for drivers. Jennifer Palumbo is at the live desk with details on the lawsuit. Jennifer?
Amber, Marathon and Ashland Oil merged back in 1998. Attorney General Jack Conway says that created a monopoly of the gas supply that Marathon has abused, leading to higher gas prices in Kentucky and violating antitrust laws. The lawsuit claims Marathon discourages competition by making independent retailers sign unlawful agreements that eliminate competition by keeping competitors from entering Kentucky. The AG's investigation found some retailers have to buy 100% of their gas from Marathon with penalties if they don't. Conway says he heard from a lot of retailers.
We can't complain about anything that's anti-competitive or restraint of trade. That's actually in the contract. And so when we started to develop that, we thought we had a pretty good antitrust case. And again, I'm sick and tired of beating my head against the wall and dealing with the federal government, so we'll pursue it at the state level.
Conway first asked the Federal Trade Commission to look at Kentucky's gas prices back in 2008. Marathon Petroleum disputes the allegations and says it will vigorously fight the lawsuit in court. At the live desk, Jennifer Palumbo, WKYT.
Jennifer, thank you. Attorney General Conway claims Marathon made an extra $40 million from the practices last year, and he plans to seek damages.
Cooler air returning to the bluegrass, and beautiful weather pattern is settling into the region, at least for the next couple of days or so. Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey has an early look at that forecast. It is nice.
It is very nice out there. Those temperatures today a little cooler than normal for many areas of central and northern Kentucky especially, but a far cry from the summertime heat and humidity of the past week and change. A little look outside across Kentucky. Mountain Parkway Camp, 68 degrees, 70 even. Into Frankfort, into Richmond and Lexington. Everybody with a mix of sun and some high clouds out there. Those clouds, by the way, a little more prominent the farther south that we go and not producing precipitation. Quick look at Live First Alert Defender because it has nothing showing up across the region, though a hint of some clouds again coming at us from the south. The overall flow around a big cold pocket of air across the Great Lakes goes from chilly into the lakes where we've got 40s and 50s to cool with 60s across the Ohio Valley to 70-ish and mild air from the Bluegrass State into the Tennessee Valley. As we roll through the next few days, though, we've got a cool night ahead of us before good-looking weather continues. But, guys, I am tracking an increase in some late week's thunderstorms, scattered variety stuff in the 7-day forecast when I come back here in just a few minutes.
We will see you then, Chris. Thank you. At one point, he was Kentucky's oldest living World War II veteran. Private First Class Roscoe Cassidy was 107 years old when he died last October. Now, months after his death, the Bath County native will have a highway named in his honor. Our Sean Moody has the story of a very proud Cassidy family. It's a story that's new at 5:30.
Owensville is very patriotic. It's a small community, but it's a tight community. You know, they're here for one another. They help one another.
Talk to the people around here, and they'll tell you Roscoe Cassidy was one of those helpers in the community. But today, the community will help honor Mr. Cassidy with a highway sign in his name.
He would probably say it's too much commotion. That's probably what he would say.
Cassidy was the oldest living World War II veteran until this past October when, at the golden age of 107, he died.
I'm sure he's probably looking down and really amazed at what's going on here today.
Mr. Cassidy's son Mike says his dad didn't talk much about the war. He says his father earned 4 Bronze Stars and served in 4 major campaigns. When the war was over, Mr. Cassidy came home back here to Owensville and participated in local politics.
He was a character here of the local community. You know, for a number of years, always lived here all of his life and was always community involved.
Now Highway 965 has a new name. From now on, every time someone drives down this road, the people of Bath County will never forget Private First Class Roscoe Cassidy.
We all one day will die, and there's a monument here now or something that will pass through our family that will be left here in this community for years to come.
In Bath County, Sean Moody, WKYT.
Cassidy's marker will be placed on Highway 965 next week.
Storms yesterday caused some mostly minor damage, and the cleanup continues today. Joanne of Corbin has our good question tonight. What is the law on storm sirens? One city has decided to only turn on the sirens in a tornado warning instead of a severe thunderstorm warning. Several central Kentucky counties had storm damage. I talked to an emergency manager who says there is no blanket law or regulation that dictates what each county should have in terms of emergency sirens. It's up to each county as to what they do, the level of the warning, and who actually activates the siren. Now, in Fayette County, for example, 27 outdoor sirens, mostly in parks, will go off for tornado warnings and severe thunderstorm warnings. A chime will sound for tornado watches. These are designed for people outdoors. And again, this is what Fayette County has set up. We are just 1 week from Kentucky's primary, and the Republican candidates for governor are working hard to convince people to vote for them.
On statewide television last night, the candidates spoke out on jobs. Bill Bryant has that in the bottom line.
Good evening. In just a few minutes, we'll release some interesting results in our WKYT Herald Leader Bluegrass poll. That's at the top of the hour in the Republican race for governor. Kentucky's primary is now just a week away, and the GOP candidates for governor are on the move, working hard to convince voters to be for them and to actually vote next Tuesday. Matt Bevin, James Comer, Hal Heiner, and Will T. Scott appeared together for an hour last night on KET's Kentucky Tonight with Bill Goodman. Again, Comer denied allegations made by a college girlfriend that he was abusive, and Hal Heiner denied that he had anything to do with those allegations becoming public. But most of the program was spent on issues including jobs. In a departure from the other three candidates, Will T. Scott said he does not favor a right-to-work law because he says that is a losing issue statewide.
I'm for letting Kentucky counties and workers do what they want on their vote, but I'm not going to run on a right-to-work issue that will cost the Republican Party the race in November.
The jobs that should be coming to Kentucky are going to Indiana, are going to Tennessee, are going to states that have strong business climates. I know what we need to do because that's where I've spent my career.
And I'm the only one in this race that grew up below the poverty level. That affords me an empathy, not just a sympathy, for how many Kentuckians live.
The next governor is going to be faced with a scenario where the House is Democrat, the Senate's Republican. So the next governor is going to have to be someone who can bring people together to pass a bold agenda.
The Republicans will appear together at least once more when they go before the Lincoln Dinner in Louisville on Thursday evening. The deadline passed this afternoon for applying for mail-in absentee ballots. The demand has been light. Only about 5,000 people have voted by absentee so far. The Secretary of State's office says nearly 3,400 people voted absentee in person. About 1,700 have cast ballots sent in by mail. Around 2,000 absentee ballots have been issued but not returned at this point. Again, we'll have the results of our WKYT Herald Leader Bluegrass poll on the Republican race for governor coming up shortly at the top of the hour and online at WKYT.com. Bill Bryant, WKYT.
Bill, thank you. Today, the Lexington YMCA paid tribute to a man who has helped the organization grow.
They rededicated the Beaumont Center Family Y and named it in honor of entrepreneur and philanthropist Bill Gatton. Gatton donated nearly $6 million in land for the current Beaumont Y location and the location where the new Hamburg Y will be built later this year.
And today we celebrate and honor you, Mr. Gatton, for your support of our YMCA. The support that Bill has given to our YMCA has made meaningful change for our community.
Mayor Jim Gray also presented Gatton with the Henry Clay Award in appreciation of all that he has done for the city.